As soon as I saw that there is a month dedicated to the Hispanic heritage, I decided to jump in and talk to my friends who are Hispanic. And I asked them a couple of questions about how is it to be Hispanic and what is their meaning to certain things, like how do they feel like they incorporate being Hispanic into their business, if they think that being Hispanic impacts the way that they do business. And you will see the answers that they had to some of the really, really cool questions that we asked. So I hope that you enjoy this special series that we prepared in honor of the Hispanic Heritage Month. I am Jessica Campos with marketingforgreatness.com, the recovered attorney that turned herself into a forensic digital marketer. And now I help entrepreneurs and marketing teams building brands and monetize them. Yes!
Besides the formal education, I got 4 things that I do. Books, I buy books for what I want to learn. I take online classes, which are very extremely helpful. The third thing is I take workshops, and I'm gonna keep taking them from photographers that I follow and I admire their work. And the fourth thing is I put a lot of hours of practice behind my camera and what I do, because I want to give my customers the best possible outcome from their experience with us.
The tools that I use to grow over the years, professionally, personally, and spiritually, I would say it was sort of a five-layer process to get where I am right now. The first thing is being open to feedback and realizing feedback is not a bad thing. Feedback is really good. Even if it is negative feedback that you did something wrong, it is only provided to help you grow. And once I realized that, I transitioned into constant reflection. If I was successful with something, what did I do so I can replicate that? If I did not achieve my goal, what was it that made me not achieve it, and how can I make changes so I can achieve it next time? And it really wasn't until Brené Brown, I discovered Brené Brown through some constant self-readings, self-help books and podcasts. I discovered Brené Brown, and she sort of blew my mind to everything that I knew. Growing up, especially in a Hispanic family, it was perfection is what you strive for. Perfection in how you present yourself, in the work that you do, and that really is limiting because perfection is not a strength that I grew up knowing. Vulnerability is what we should all strive for. When we are vulnerable, we are authentic. That's when you can even grow more. So I've learned to surround myself with people not looking to achieve perfection, but are looking to be vulnerable so we can all grow. So when I surround myself, I surround it by people that's not limiting my growth. I would say the last thing that has been within the last 2 years that I really didn't know that I needed until I had her was a life coach for a business consultant and a coach. It all started when I decided to my wife and I decided to embark on opening a Spanish immersion preschool. So she was there for guidance, business consulting, but what I found most important was the coaching, the mindset coaching of becoming a CEO, becoming an entrepreneur. There are ups and there are downs, and by golly, it is a roller coaster. And if it wasn't for Dr. Phildra Swagger, I would still be in the process of growing, probably at a slower rate, but she has really dug deep and helped me realize that I can be more than what I thought I could be. So I would say getting a coach in your life is pretty amazing.
Another thing is that, one of the questions was, do you feel like being Hispanic makes you do business in a different way? Absolutely yes. And in my opinion, we are very passionate and you cannot turn that off from us. My Hispanic values definitely have a reflection in the way that I do business, sometimes for the good and sometimes for the bad. I'm gonna start with sometimes for the bad. Number one, we have sometimes the tendency to be late. So I sometimes call my friends and say, hey, this party is going to start at the LST, Latino Standard Time. So that's not really that great, but we have kind of that tendency to not being by the clock in certain things. And I can understand that sometimes that's not that great. On a positive note, I believe that our culture, it's very warm, and then we talk with strangers very easily, and it doesn't really take that long for us to feel like we are buddies, that we are friends. So I feel like that helps our clients to feel like, yeah, I feel like they treat me very, very special. Well, that's the way that we are, but that helps us standing out. I also believe that Hispanics are great hosts. We host people, we host strangers. We are like brothers and sisters everywhere we go. And you usually, if you meet somebody that is from your same town, oh my God, that's just instantly, it's going to be your brother or your sister. So we carry those traits into the way that we do business.
I do think Hispanics do business in a different way. I think it's the level of personal connection. You are instantly family. I always think about the first time I had to leave my 2-year-old son at a Spanish immersion preschool. My wife and I, we were working full time, and leaving our child with someone, especially our only child with someone, is very scary. You're constantly wondering, are they going to love your child? Are they going to protect your child? And the one of the things I remember is I felt 100% comfortable with someone that I really didn't know. Miss Ceci, Miss Gina, Miss Luisa, Miss Claudia, they were all teachers that were a combination between Colombian and Mexican. They made us feel safe. It made me feel that protection, that warmth that I felt growing up. From my mother, from my grandmother, from everyone, and I trusted them. And when I left my son at school, of course there were tears, but I knew that he was going to be, if he fell at school or if he was scared, they would be there to provide that comfort that I normally would, but I wasn't able to. So I feel like the Hispanic culture, we do business differently because it's that instant family, that instant connection. I would say the biggest obstacle I face being Hispanic is not fully knowing the Spanish language. And that's difficult for me because I feel a big disconnect from my Hispanic culture. When I was younger, a decision was made for me to not learn Spanish, mostly to make sure that we assimilated with the American culture. And that decision has made me feel less than. I don't want my son to feel less than because he is fortunate to be Mexican, Cuban, and Italian. I want him to be able to celebrate all of that. My wife, she's a first-generation Mexican who is biliterate. Before we even started a family, we both knew that we wanted our child to fully embrace the Hispanic heritage on both sides, especially speaking the language. Since he turned 2 years old, we enrolled him in a Spanish immersion preschool, and then transitioned him into the dual language program with Round Rock ISD. And he's currently in his second year of that. The obstacles I face and I continue to face is not knowing the Spanish language. I could have corrected my shortcomings earlier, but I didn't. One would think that I would already know a lot more than I do know with my son, who has been immersed in the Spanish language for 4 years now, and my wife of 9 years, who is fluent, and she used to be a Spanish teacher in middle school, but I haven't. I am learning though, and every day I am learning, and every day I'm feeling more connected with my heritage. And during my journey of learning the language, my wife and I are bringing the Spanish-speaking opportunity to our community. We are creating a school and a place where from the very beginning, a child can know all aspects and feel proud of all aspects of who they are. And if one doesn't have the Spanish heritage, they can learn to celebrate the diversity. And today I can right all of the wrongs that I believed were placed against me by empowering myself and now my mature self to use my resources to bring my community together to create something different.
Another question was, how are you making sure that you are passing your traditions to other generations? In my case, I teach my kids recipes, and I'm teaching now my oldest daughter how to do the rice and beans. I make sure that with my other kids, I cook my recipes at least 2 or 3 times a week. I cannot tell you that I do cook the way that my grandma will cook, which is rice and beans every single day. But yeah, in my house, I eat rice and beans at least once a week, mandatory.
I think in a Hispanic culture, food plays a large role. So something that I am passing along is the Mexican tradition in our family is that on Nochebuena we have the menudo, tamales, buñuelos, all of that stuff. And that's just something that's been part of my Christmas Eve ever since I was born, or ever since I can remember. And then another thing that has been very important to me with my 6-year-old is making sure from day one that he would be able to understand Spanish and speak it and know the language. And that's really what has brought on us starting Buena Vista Spanish Academy. We want not only, kids like him to be able to continue speaking with their grandparents, their ancestors, but other kids, just making sure that they have the ability to be bilingual early on, because it's not as common now in public schools, and we want to make sure that we give others the opportunity to do that.
Well, in the first place, I would like my future kids to learn our language and be fluent in Spanish. And the second part of that, I would like them to appreciate a good Peruvian meal and maybe know how to cook. And the last part might be teaching how to dance to our music, salsa, reggae. I would like to do that for my future family or generations. I was you, but one thing I learned is that you have to put yourself out there. You have to try. You have to move forward. My mentor told me one time, it doesn't matter if you have accent, but if you put a lot of hard work onto it and you try to do your best, people will notice it. They will want to work with you. They will appreciate your work. We are experimenting that right now in our business, and I wish the same for you. I know you can do it. I know you must do it, and please never give up. You can do it, guys. Sí se puede.
I say the time is now. If you're afraid to claim being Hispanic or claim your heritage, there's never been a better time, because diversity has been really embraced in these times. And for example, in my own company, with my experience and being fully bilingual, I feel like I'm a huge help in other areas that are not necessarily my duties, but I've been able to help with translations and other Spanish projects where very few others in the company would be able to do so. So I feel very valued, and I think when you are proud to say, hey, I'm bilingual, I'm Hispanic, and you have the culture, then that's when people really even embrace you more.
Do it afraid. Move towards that person that you want to be. Move towards that voice that you have inside of you. I've been on this journey for quite some time. Growing up part Cuban and part Italian, I always felt the Cuban side was considered less than. And I was very fortunate to grow up in two cultures that are such rich in tradition. But I was afraid to outwardly embrace my Cuban side. It wasn't until I became more independent, I started forming my own opinions. And I realized being Hispanic brought so much value to my community. I am who I am because I am part Hispanic, and I'm proud of that. Times have evolved over the years to embrace diversity rather than suppress it. In a diverse society, you can be bicultural and celebrate both parts of you, and demand the world embrace all of you. And you never know, claiming your voice could lead you to discover your passion and fulfill your calling. For me, it's led to me creating Buena Vista Spanish Academy with my wife. A place where being Hispanic is celebrated every single day, where little boys and little girls and families can feel proud of who they are, to embrace their Hispanic culture, to feel safe and protected in the environment. So do it afraid.
So what do you think? I hope you enjoy this video, and if you have a friend who is sharing the Hispanic Heritage Passion this month, please make sure that you share this video with them because they're gonna have a lot of fun too. Okay, bye for now.